Well, I'm just going to chalk this up to fate. I made a list of estate sales today, and I turned a little bit early, and now here's a sign for another estate sale. So I'm just going to assume I'm supposed to go to this one first. This one started an hour ago, and I did have it on my list. It wasn't going to be my first one, but it is now. A nice old 1920s Tudor house. We're in the Wallingford district of Seattle. Oh heck, I think I'll take the house. Look at that beautiful door. That is not the entry. This is. Specifically, this is. Okay. Well, different way of getting into this old house. Look at this amazing old radiator. Still working here. This looks like it was a nice house built in the 20s with the original paperwork. Wow. All right, there's an old Maytag wringer washer. I've sold a few of those. There are some people who still swear by these. And this is so cool. The monitor top refrigerator from the 20s. And this is the one that is not painted. This was such a great new design when it came out with the engine on top. I've had one. They're so heavy. I know someone who collects these, and he had to have his wooden floor taken out and replaced with a concrete floor to hold the weight. This is really cool too. Wow, there's a lot of really interesting old pieces to this place. Look at all these bells. That one's out of the old Jefferson School. I'd like some of these, but I don't see prices. Big old drum, $50. Head's a little cracked, but that's kind of neat looking. It's got some age too. Wow, this is a pretty interesting house, and this was not my first stop. I was going to go to a place that had a bunch of modern stuff first, but there's a line out the door there anyway, so I think I lucked out by coming here. Free DVDs and VHS tapes. Sears ornamental heavy latch and gate set. That could actually be kind of a nice thing for somebody. Hang-a-light picture lights. People do like picture lights for art pieces, so I'll remember those are there. There's an old clock dial. That could be fun for somebody to repurpose into something if the price is cheap. Corks. Boy, somebody will use those. Lots of basic kitchen utensils. A nice 1920s table that needs a new top, but it's only $15. Now that's one you could feel okay about painting. Price on the drafting table, only $25, and it's portable. Yes, they like their electrical gadgets. And a lot of architectural pieces. Boy, this could be a great sale for someone. These would be good to put in a garden, but they're kind of light chalkware. I don't think they would last. Somebody's going to have a lot of fun with this stuff repurposing, that's for sure. They have the pieces and parts for just about everything here. And this isn't even the main part of the sale. We'll go upstairs and see the house stuff here in a minute. Craftsman Vice is $30. Ooh, fire cover, only $10. People like fire-related stuff. This should sell. Broil Master accessory kit. Looks like somebody's having a bunch of fun.
Yeah, not too much.
The Swinging Britain. Beethoven, Handel. A lot of classical. Those don't tend to sell very well. Boy, this person did all sorts of crazy things with electronics. Ah, gauges and brass. Brass gauges sell pretty well, and they don't have a price on this, so I'm thinking maybe they don't think much of it. We'll see. Lots of old cigar boxes. 3-band battery-operated radio. I had somebody asking me for CDs recently. Old console stereo, $20. $10 on this giant drum switch. Oh, if my dad were still alive, he'd go crazy here. Nice old light cover. Next is up. I like the painted stairs. This is a great old house. Okay, wow, it's fun to be in this house. I think I'm really glad I came here by mistake. Teapot for $65, but I don't think it's as old as it looks. Uranium glass, that's certainly a decent price, $15 for the whole stack. Love that bust, but I think it's damaged. Old match safe. $15, but it's cute. I don't think it's $30 cute. Oh, okay, flat felt, that's newer than it looks. $35 on that little red shelf. $75 on the hutch. This would have been 1920s. It's great, it's painted. Good price. Extra $45. He's cool. Let's see, does this lift off? Yes. Black memorabilia paperboy. This looks like it does have some age. The pillar it's on is nice. That's hollow plaster. Yeah, there's some different things here. I think some people have some cool stuff in the hold pile already, but I'm going to go look again. $10 each is a great price on these. They have the 1893 patent date. Made well into the 20th century. But they're just very handy little folding chairs. Iris is cute, but she's plastic.
You want to buy it and send it to Ryan.
Carta Blanca from Old Mexico. That's cute. $20.
Look at that Christmas.
Let's see if these are older or newer. They're very lightweight. Yeah, newer. Not bronze. They definitely did this place like a 1920s house. St. Francis over there is sold. I like the bridge lamp for $75. Foster and Kleiser, $75. Meridian Avenue. This is an old sign, I believe. Or it's made to look like one. $25. Does it have actual age? I think it does. This is a street here in Seattle. I kind of like that. $40 on the oak table is a good price. This piece with the painting on it is just a basic terracotta, but it is older and it does have a mark here. Botelho Lamos from Brazil, Sao Paulo. So cute tourist piece, probably 1930s or 40s. Little favor vases are nicely painted. Made in Germany. That's someone looking for doilies, but I think he wants crocheted all the way through. The mirror has been overpainted. The bird cage is cool. Love the stained glass in this place. Very much a 1920s Tudor that we see here in Seattle. Only $30 for the tile top table. That will be mine. The black tiles are kind of worn. I will have to color them in. I think we can do something about that though. This is still a great deal. Probably Mexican tile, 1920s. Well, the pile is growing. Well, it needs some restoration, but the case is nice on this grandmother's clock from the 1920s. Grandmother's being because it's smaller than a grandfather clock and only $10. I love what they were doing here. They just were serious about the antiques and vintage. Great Egyptological light here in the kitchen. Would have been about the same era as this house from the early 20s. The corn popper is really cool. This is probably fry glass in the opalescence.
I think it might be.
The original Big Dumb Stanley Cup. Those do sell. Ooh, the totem pole in Seattle now. This is the original totem pole that they stole from the Tlingit. The Tlingit eventually got it back. And then they brought in a new 1930s at the time totem pole that they actually paid them to carve. That building on the corner is Pioneer Square, where I used to work in the antique mall that used to be there. And across the street was the Hotel Seattle, which was torn down to make room for an ugly parking garage. So this is old. This is from about the time of the First World's Fair in 1909. Made in Austria. That's actually a pretty good piece for around here for local interest. Look at the wonderful range. Only $50. I cannot believe how cheap the prices are on a lot of this stuff. $5 on the old toaster. If I didn't already have old toasters, I'd be tempted. And this is a cool store display. Banquet tea. A wonderful flavor, iced hot. I don't know that I can get 60 for that though. Old Vienna confectionery scale is 25. That's a nice old piece. It's hard not to want to go crazy and buy all this stuff because you just don't see a lot of stuff that's this age anymore at estate sales. And it's in this house that it was made for. Look at the great graphics on there. Yeah, I'm going to take this too. It's a shade more than I wanted to price, but I've heard them making deals as well. So I'm going to see if we can bulk. 8 apothecary bottles is a pretty good deal. Old cake carrier is neat with the painting on the side. Maybe I'll bring that down for them now that there's room. $15, not a bad price. See a little cordial skier. Nice etched pattern with grapes. These are going to be Hall China coffee mugs. They're the Irish coffees. They are the round mark from before 1969. Nice little elegant glass. Love the orange thing from the 70s. Cute little children's oven here for $40.
There's still a spider there.
$2 of the monk smelling the flower. That's awfully sweet from about 1920. Okay, hires. That's plastic. Recipe box, cocoa. Old flower tin. $15. Acne. Roadrunner made that. All occasion cocoa, $10. That's a nice old box. Our mothers. Let's put that out where people see it at least. And then this one, $10. Rockwood's pure cocoa. I like those. Maybe I need to have those. Those are pretty well priced. Let's just make sure they're real, because there are reproductions, but these look absolutely real. No UPC codes. Laboratory controlled. Very shiny on the bottom because the bottom never got oxygen, but this has. Let's make sure the same for this. Yep, they look legit to me. For those prices, yeah, we're taking those. As this one is a reproduction. First of all, it's the 75th anniversary. It also measures in grams. And this says replica of our 1922 label. And I think that's why nobody looked at these. But these are real. If these two older percolators had their lids, they'd be worth buying at that price. I've been avoiding the main part of the house because it has been really active. So now we're going to head in there because it's starting to settle down. A lot of people have gotten their purchases and gotten in line. If you're seriously into antiques and vintage like these people were, and like I am, join us every Monday and Wednesday for premieres. The easy way is to subscribe and then click that bell to be notified of future videos. Please click thumbs up on this video. And if you can help us out with the membership, well, it sure makes the links we go to bring you this great information easier to do. We're very appreciative. You can find out more about memberships by clicking the membership link under the dash line in the description of this or any video. Nice old blanket, but I see a hole. Wow, look at the big old Wurlitzer. Somebody was having a very interesting life. Loved old stuff. Loved buying old stuff. Having old stuff. This is a wonderful piece here. He's missing an arm, unfortunately. $100. Were you made like that? Perhaps. Here's one of these match strikers. Advertising from Europe. You would see these in taverns and on ships as well. Fitz and Floyd. That's an interesting set. I think this is Mexican. I'm not sure, though. Nippon Morimura Brothers, Noritake. $10, not a bad deal. That's from the 20s. Wow, $20 on this very interesting xylophone. That seems like a good price, too. Boy, so many interesting things here. A tea party, that's cute, but a little damaged. There's just stuff everywhere you look here. Yeah, I'm not sure how you would mount this. One of these little elves, but I think his ruffle is broken. $30. This is metal and hinged, but it's near. Cute little compote with a 1920s Japanese mark. Another nice Japanese set. I like the style. It's nice to see the stripes and not just geisha. This is 1930s. $5. This looks like an old Stein. Yeah, this is German. It's not Metlock, but it's pretty good for $5. I know the market's down on these, but this age, 19 teens or 20s, drink all the time. Good advice. Yeah, we'll take that. This is Japanese from the 30s. There's the mark. Rather old Elf's plate. The ideal souvenir of Oregon. Yeah, that is definitely Mount Hood, and it's only $2. We'll take that.
As to ourselves.
It's interesting. I think being in what has become an urban part of Seattle with a lot of young families, this stuff, as good as it is not finding the buyers that I would expect it would. So I am really cleaning up here. I may have to go to the bank and get more cash. Cute little teapot. This is Spode. Spode Byron, a pattern you don't see very often. And wow, for a Spode piece, that's cheap, but I am questioning whether this is the original lid. It doesn't seem like their quality. The tracery here isn't good. Matlock's Ivy from the 40s. Nice egg cup. That might be worth buying. I have a friend who collects that. $20 on the stack of great plates that match those cordials. Oh yeah, I remember these when I was a kid. Lucky Beer, made in Vancouver, Washington at the time. And they would always have some sort of a cryptogram or something on the inside of the caps, I guess, so you could figure out how drunk you were, whether you could figure it out or not. That's funny, I haven't seen these since I was rather young and our neighbor drank this stuff. Turin pattern. Nice little tureen or sauce boat here. Hanging basket. Almost looks like Weller, but I don't think it's them. Another xylophone. Oh, I see. These are from pipe organs. Okay. Kind of a fun repainted cabinet here. That'd be nice for sorting paper if you were ephemera collectors. Here's one of these 70s era pieces, but that's just the trivet. Free player piano. Wow. It's all the baffles and everything. Lento adagio, andante moderato, allegretto, allegro presto. If you had the space for it, be a pretty cool piece to have. Let's go into this room. Burroughs Portable, that's a nice machine. $20 on this little utility table is awfully inexpensive. I may have to uncover that and take that with me too. I see it even has a pull-out. Oh, that may not be the right lid though, because the pull-out isn't pulling out. Satsuma set from about 1900. India brass there. These are probably Occupy Japan, these little $5 each mini pitchers. Sitting on a 1910s era table. Oh, actually, that's a little older, maybe 1890s. Another 1920s cabinet here. Oh, this is actually an old stereo from the late 20s. $40. RCA Radiola. Don't know whether this works or not, but it's got the turntable in there. That would be cool. And here is, I believe this is a speaker. $25 for the speaker with the ship. Does it work? We don't know. Does it have to work for that price? Maybe it doesn't. It's just an interesting thing to look at. And it looks like the cord's been cut, so we have to assume it doesn't work. Portrait of the Friar, $45. I mean, the prices are really, really good considering the age and interesting nature of the stuff here. These are plastic Nancy Ann dolls, which is later. $20 on this plaque. That's chalkware. Nope, it's plastic now that I pick it up. All right, let's go in this room. Baby grand piano. Beautiful. Pianos are not an easy sell now. $20 for this crush, and this is a very nicely detailed one. Paper mache. I'm sure this is Japanese from the 50s, but it's one of the nicer ones I've seen. Then there's this guy. Chalkware, really well detailed, $45. I think that's rather intriguing. Let me move this piece back so we can look at him a little bit better. Overall condition is good. Boy, that's tempting too. It's just an interesting estate, and I love this guy's face. His goatee is a little rough. But this is a chalk piece that would have hung on a wall from about 1920. And $20 seems really good. I think the fact that it's a Middle Eastern design is not a plus in the current market because we're not dealing so well with that part of the world. Dachshund is bisque. I think that had a lamp in it perhaps originally. Like a perfume lamp, not a light, but something to create scent. Oh boy, the baby grand piano is free too. Amazing. I hope somebody rescues those. Cute little piece here, the Denaloon table with the painting of the ship, because the Ironsides made the trip around the country in the 1920s for the 150th anniversary of the founding of the Republic. So many interesting things just from a decorative standpoint. $15 on this. I think I'm going to come back and get a bunch of this stuff. But it's more than I can carry right now, and I don't see people grabbing it, which makes me think I'll have an opportunity to come get it after my hands are free. That is new. This, however, is very much not. Arrowhead spring water, only $15 for that carboy with the really good graphic. That's probably worth getting. Old McCormick Tea House tin is a consideration. $30 on this painted piece of furniture from the 1920s. So many choices. These are in Latin and are various prints of religious tones. Here is a Bohemian glass piece that looks like an urn from about 1900. $35, but that has a chip. Nice pedestal though. Well, I know you were. Here's another speaker. This one's on a stand. I just love the stand. Could put a goldfish bowl on top of that. $45. More painted furniture. That one's plastic. $100 on this rather impressive lamp. 1920s vintage again. And we've got some old clocks back here. $30, and it says that one works on the ground there behind the plant stand. $30 each on a bunch of these. International time recording. Postal telegraph, that's a great Deco one, and that one's $200. Those are harder to get. $400 for the pair on these. These are 1920s high-style Deco, so I understand that price. I wonder what the price on the brass candlesticks are and whether they have age.
Far away from that.
Yeah, these are newer. Not heavy, and they have that flat, fellas, again. Original art for $25. Nice old landscape. $5 for the fireworks. Fireworks do sell.
Eli.
Yes, that's about the graphics. It's really just these two, but for $5, that's good enough. Worn chairs. $30 on the hanging cabinet is pretty good. That would be useful to somebody redoing a house or who just needs extra space in the bathroom. This tin humidor is $10. This is just something someone would have had at home, but it has an interesting scene or two.
I know, that's a gullet.
And again, that's just a cheap price for what it is. Cute birdhouse here. I don't know if it has any real age or not. It's $25. Let's see what the bottom looks like. Yeah. I don't think it's insanely old, but it's not brand new and it's really cool. I think I might take that. Okay, what's hanging here? We got a lamp and another lamp. Of course, I like this. This is cotton, not acrylic, so it's older, which is nice. Really like to know the price on this.
Looks like it. Well, it was a master clock that, and it had slave clocks.
I'll just put it in the pile. We'll find out later.
The school.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
I mean, it's just kind of a matter of, does it work by itself, or do you need this, the subsidiary clocks?
Oh no, you don't know. You don't need the other clock, because it did its thing, and then it just sent out the signal to the other clock right here.
And then the slave clocks would have needed this to work, actually. This is the one you want, yeah.
We've got a bunch of them. Well, there's like 4 or 5 of them left now.
Okay.
But they were the ones like in the school rooms. And that's how they work. They can't come out.
Kind of a neat Art Deco hanging up there.
I mean, I have no guarantees, but it works.
Some sort of a 70s Egyptian fabric pattern here. Oh, it's a tablecloth that says $5. That's just fun. Yeah, I think we have to grab that. Christmas carols. Old Seattle Transit button before it was merged in with the other one to become Metro. That's a local interest thing. Kelvinator. This was the Nash Motors subsidiary that made refrigerators. $30 on the painted table. Aw, here's some cute stuff. It's funny, a lot of sales. We're looking at this stuff first, and here we're looking at it last. $10 on the cat. Vancouver, Canada, but I'll bet this is Japanese made, and he has a little bug on his paws. Madonna is cute. Occupied Japan set. Some older cups and saucers here.
No, I have to do good first.
Another roller piano here. The MP Moeller reproducing organ, and that's also free. I think they just don't know what to do with these big musical instruments, but they're sure cool. Oh, and a bagatelle. I score roll at 45, not a bad price. Nice table here. $50 on the wolf lamp from the 20s. Couple more figures there. We'll see if those are bronze, although I doubt it. This is a later piece. This does not match the house. Maybe that'll be cheap. $10 on the phone's a good deal.
On this one? Yeah. We got it at
$30 sold on the Olympia typewriter. Oh, they're asking $80. I guess they like that. They figured maybe this neighborhood that would be more the thing that would sell. $100 the pair on the andirons. Okay, these are older and do have some weight. They're probably spelter rather than bronze, but they're nice. $75 for the pair is certainly a price worth considering, but they're a little lightweight. Well, they took $175 on the clock. And this fixture is for sale. $80 for the pair under here. Now, these are a little more substantial, but they're also falling apart a little bit. They'd have to be screwed back together, but that's a good price. Tempting. That may be someone's hold pile there. Everybody is finding cool stuff in this place.
So this is a bunch of people's hold pile. Mine is outside, but it's getting so big I know I have to go to the bank and get cash. So we're going to run a little errand and come back.
One of Wallingford's big attractions is Archie McPhee's, which has sold really crazy, fun, silly things for 40 years. The Assistants League thrift store is a pretty good one. We'll have to come back and hit that sometime. We conducted an estate sale right down the block from here. The house was basically falling down around itself, and it had an offer of $500,000 10 minutes after the sale closed. They turned the old school into a commercial block, the locally famous Murphy's Pub, where a lot of the Seattle grunge bands used to hang out, along with a pretty good record store. Dick's Drive-In, a Seattle institution that opened in the 1950s. Look at the beautiful details in this house, too. Cows. And up we go. Right, we'll turn to the right first. Some more albums. Same rug as in room. There are nice rugs here. Here's some slave clocks from a school. That means that these ran based on what the master clock told it to do. So you would have to re-rig those.
Rolls and berries.
Lampshades, plasterwork,
People.
some more great windows, some more cool speakers. The table's only $45. Nice hall table for that price. These are old things from the bus where it would tell you what you were doing if you were the express bus or going to 50th Street via Alaskan Way. Well, that's definitely local. Auditorium, that's still here. Number 1 Kinnear, these are cool. I wonder if people would understand them the way I do. Certain of these districts are popular to live in now, like Madrona, so we might take that.
I don't think.
Montlake. I'm actually tempted to take the whole stack. I wonder what they want. Oh, I just found the price on that. $85. It's nice, but that is more than I would get for it, so we're going to leave it. $15 on the old rum butter tin. $35 on the old wooden desk is good. This is not a stacking lawyer's bookcase, or else it would be gone. Screen to print. Well, this sounds like fun. It's got all the stuff, too. That's even tempting. Encyclopedia of the Theater Organ. They loved their instruments here, that's for sure. Ooh, a book on the San Francisco earthquake. Now, the spine is not good, which is unfortunate, but these are pretty collectible. This is by a construction company. They got it in 1957 for $2.50. But this is going to show all sorts of before pictures and after. If this is inexpensive, I'll buy it because I find it interesting. Automobile quarterlies can be collectible. You're a good old car, but you can't climb hills. This shows a 1931 Mercer. Wow, that's a beautiful car. And a Buick Riviera and a bunch of other things. Bunch of architecture books. This is just a really fun, interesting sale. I'm sure the people who live here were fun and interesting in their way as well. You can definitely tell that. Here's a book on Sears houses. Coffee stained, unfortunately. Plumbing and steam supplies. Old catalog from more plumbing and mill supplies. Yeah, old catalogs can do well. The condition is not great on a lot of these books, though. I think someone's already been through these. What is this thing? Ah, a film splicer from the 50s. The only way to keep your health is eat what you don't want, drink what you don't like, and do what you'd rather not. Hee hee hee, love Mark Twain. This was done in 1968. You can see this press board. That's when that starts really being a thing. But it's a great motto for the price. Another handsome old clock. This is a Howard Miller, so it's a little newer mission style from the 80s or 90s. In here we have, well, mostly the bathtub. A couple of really great old pillars again, $65 the pair. These are good prices. I mean, you put some sort of a top, glass, or wood between those and you have a wonderful table that you could sell for a lot more. I just don't really have a shopper anyway to be handy like that. Love the black toilet. This estate has been accumulating here since the 1970s. In the 1970s, Wallingford was just sort of a worn-out old part of Seattle, and houses here cost maybe $20,000 or $30,000 at most. The neighborhood's big issue was a gasworks full of PCBs at the bottom of the district. It is still here today, but wow has it changed. Unable to safely tear down this blighted industrial site, the city instead turned it into a giant park, just making the gas plant off limit. It radically changed Wallingford because suddenly the people of the neighborhood had access to this view. And the result is now houses in this neighborhood cost $1 million. And it's become one of the city's favorite playgrounds. Now the antique one they had 30 on, and this one is newer and it's 65. So the antique one downstairs is the bargain. Just depends who prices. Different people price different rooms, and sometimes they have different ideas. Here's a bunch of the player piano rolls that would go in those player pianos. I'm sure they'd give those to you as well. Another cute little painted dresser. Oh, look at this from a child's room. Only $5. Wow. I mean, it needs to be repainted a little bit, but how adorable are those decals. You just want to mask them off and try to do something to preserve them. Fur coat. People are not flocking to these in Seattle, but they do sell to our visitors from colder climates nearby, like Montana and Alaska. $70 on this one. The buttons definitely look Art Moderne, like 1950s. You do have to look for separation and rotting, because if they fall apart, they're no good. This one's a little more stylish. And this one is a stole for $35, but it looks a little flea bitten. This is from 1950s also, though. This is the nicest of the three. They were definitely into the old organs. And look at this really cool umbrella over my head that I didn't even notice somehow. I haven't been buying Afghans lately, but these with the big flowers sell, and that's only $10. We'll take a look at the condition on that. $75 on this lamp, but it needs a shade. Battenberg lace tablecloth, $50 from Frederick and Nelson. What a good store that was back in the day. This late 19th century, so it wouldn't have come from Frederick and Nelson because this is a newer box. And there is the Battenberg lace pattern. It says this is late Qing dynasty, which could be as late as 1900. And it's an incense burner. That is definitely correct. Lots of good cookbooks. Lots of nice lamp bases. Toll painted. This looks more Norwegian. This is the first thing I've seen in the house that looks like something from our Scandinavian tradition around here. The flapper curler. I just love that it's named that. And I'm glad they use painter's tape because hopefully, yeah, it took a little of the stuff off, but not too bad. That is what curling irons looked like when they first became electric. If it had a cute graphic of a flapper, it would go with me. This table is interesting looking. I think that's also a Scandinavian design. I feel like we had one of these at an estate sale once. I don't quite remember the story. Little music cabinet here. Only $10. Boy, they're giving away the furniture. And these actually sell because they're useful for sorting paper. They're good in offices. They're good for collectors. R.M. Wilson oil painting, $80. I do believe that's a listed artist. I like this print next to it, though. Maybe even a little better. The Old Temple by Robert Robert. Oh yes, one of these massagers with the Bakelite handles. It's a thermal massager. They heat up. $20 is actually a pretty good price on that. I've sold those for $40 or $50 before. And here's Seattle, what it looked like just before the Great Fire. Little drafting set. Oh, they want a lot for that, though. 1904. $15 on the standard clock. This little piece here is Gustavsberg. They say 1929 on it, but I'm sure that's just a stock number. This looks like a 1950s piece to me. All right, more books. Outdoor Building from Sunset. That's probably a pretty good book. Sunset magazine books can be valuable and interesting to people. Ghost Towns of the West, also by Sunset. Tuned In publication. That would have been of interest to these people, I'm sure. And Better Homes and Gardens from the 1930s. And a bunch of stuff about bungalows. A bunch of old radio equipment, if you knew what to do with it. $20 on the Hallicrafter S85, and boy, that is a pretty good machine, and that might be something I need to buy.
Yes.
And then here's the Radiola controller from the 20s. So we've got the song, the lights came on, the volume knob does something. We are on AM.
Did you go in my kitchen and see the car?
Yeah.
Just kind of just.
We don't have an antenna, so we're left kind of to guess whether this is just a parts piece, in which case it's worth $40, or whether it works, in which case it's worth about $150. My dad knew all about this stuff. I wish I knew a little bit more. I'm tempted, though. Ancient fireplace logs. 1920s or 30s, you can see the old fabric cord there. Small trunk here for $70. A pictorial history of radio. There is so much interesting stuff in this house. I'm sure I could buy a lot more. Ooh, Disneyana. This might be a good book here. A little worn on the cover, but I think this one sells... Oh, no, only $14.99 new. This isn't the one that's the big money. It's the Art of Disney that's really worth something. Definitely love the old trolleys. And have a bunch of scale model ones.
So we can conceivably come back here, and if it's so here, they might the video. And the
I wonder how much these are. I know these would sell in Centralia, where I sell the railroad stuff. Here's some larger train cars.
Wow, how's their shirt?
I just don't see a price on these. These are plastic Lionel, so a little bit later in time, 60s, 70s. French dresser box, $60. They say 1920s. I think it's quite a bit older. I think that's late Victorian or French Regency era. The American song whistle. Try it, it will amaze you. Oh. That looks like a cool thing. $30 on this little phone receiver here. Yankee phone. Does look like a real phone from the 1920s. I have not seen this one before. Early wall phone. Metal bookends in the original boxes, I'm sure. Oh, there they are. It's these very basic utility kind. Old heaters with lots of asbestos. Don't want to touch those. This hall table was sold. It was repainted at some point. All about all sorts of things. $20 for that whole set. $10 for that old typewriter is a good deal, but it's big and heavy. Sewing machine foot pedals actually can be some money. I'm going to take a look at this one because $15 isn't much. This reminds me of when my friend and I went to the telephone museum. If you haven't seen my shorts channel, go to the Antique Nomad Shorts and you will see our tour there. It was really great. And they had a lot of these phones on display. All the way from the first liquid telephone down to the picture phone. Well, we have something sort of like that now. This is a neat interior heating device with a bunch of, looks like glass or obsidian looking things in it from the 1920s, but that's going to be full of asbestos too. It's part of a whole fireplace. $100, so this is just, again, another amazing value if you had a place for it. 100 best short stories, another 100 best detective stories, and 1,000 best poems. I like old physician manuals. This may not be old enough, though. Old lithographs. They're not cheap on those. Seattle Now and Then. This is a great book. I've got a bunch of these. They show pictures of the way it was and the way it is now. Reference library. The Radio Boys. Those can be pretty collectible. And they're only $2 each, so we'll take a look at those. Housekeeping in Old Virginia. That's a reprint. The original is quite valuable. Aw, somebody's little stamp set. With a lot more with the dust jackets, but these are from about the 1920s, and they're seeking the lost Atlantis. You can see the Egyptian theme. And Soldiers of Fortune. I think we'll take those for only $2 each. We'll sell those. See a Don Blanding book in this pile. A couple of them. One with the dust jacket. 47th printing. They made a lot of these because they were popular. He signed a lot of them. This one isn't signed. But I just love his work. And for this price, $2, yeah, I'll take that one. Unless this one is signed, I will leave this one because the spine is cracked and no dust jacket. Somebody just bought both the typewriters. I don't blame them. Those were a good price. Love this Mission desk. So much great stuff here. I'm sure there's a lot of good books that I'm missing out on because I don't know the old technology books quite so well. Some of these are pretty dime a dozen and some of them are worth some money. The Discovery of Tutankhamun. In here, I think is just office stuff and file drawers. And one old pair of jeans. You know, old jeans can be worth something too. These are old Levi 550s. Not a very useful size, though. There's a Project Barber chair. I imagine this was very full when they started. They said that was the third week they'd had sales there, which makes sense because you can see how serious those collectors were. Well, I'm a big believer in life that you go where you're supposed to go and where you're meant to be. And I guess I was meant to be at this sale because I spent all my cash and I bought a ton of good stuff and I spent a whole bunch of time here. So we will go on and see if we can hit other estate sales later today and show you those in another video. I hope you had a lot of fun like I did at this place. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.